So once you've logged into REDCap, you'll see this list of projects that you have access to. I'm going to show you the test version of the housing and employment data collection system. So when you log in, you will see a bunch of projects, and some of them will say for practice only. Those are the test or training systems. Remember to only use fake data in the practice versions and only real data in the live versions that don't say for practice only. So when you click on that link, you'll see something like this. You may not see everything that I see because your permissions may be a little bit different, but you will see on the left-hand side there's this navigation bar. There's going to be this data collection section with a record status dashboard and add edit records. If you click on record status dashboard, you'll see a visual overview of all of the participants who have been entered at your site, and you'll see some colorful dots indicating what forms have been completed and which ones haven't. There's a legend here in the upper right-hand corner, but basically the red circles or the gray circles means that forms are not quite done or they haven't been started yet. The yellow ones are ones where somebody has changed the form status to unverified, and the green ones are the ones where somebody has changed the form status to complete. You can click on any of these circles to open that particular form for the study ID number. Again, on the left, these rows are one row per participant, and then you can navigate straight to the form of interest. Or more often, you'll probably want to click on the Add Edit Records under Data Collection, and this way you can select a particular ID directly. You can either select from the drop-down menu, which has all of the IDs at your site, or you can type in the ID. If you type in a new ID, you'll see this new participant ID information. You'll see this grid of gray dots. So every column is a different time point, and every row is a form. So for example, if I started this new participant ID 123, I would most likely be here to start the initial baseline evaluation questionnaire. So I just click on this baseline, section 1 demographics circle. That will bring me directly to that first form in the baseline survey. So in terms of navigation here within the forms, I want to point out that there's this floating box in the upper right-hand corner, which has save and exit form, save and go to next form, and a bunch of other save options. These buttons are also shown at the very bottom of the form, but they're also floating here as you scroll up and down. You'll see that stays in the upper right-hand corner. That's really helpful so that if you have to interrupt data collection in the middle of the form, you can save your information and not worry about losing it or about having to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the form. The options here are save and exit form, which is exactly what it sounds like. Save everything that you've entered so far and exit out of the form. It'll end up going to the participant's dashboard, that participant that you're entering. Save and go to next form is save everything that I've entered on this form and go to the next form in the queue, which in this case would be section 2, housing. You can see that on the left-hand navigation bar, all the data collection instruments for baseline. Save and exit record means save everything, and instead of going to this participant's dashboard, it'll pop you out to the project's homepage. Save and go to next record is probably something you will never need to use. It doesn't really make a lot of sense in ETAP, but it would mean that you save the form and then you go to the next participant ID. Again, that's probably something you're never going to use here. You're most likely going to use save and exit form or save and go to next form. REDCap is pretty smart. As you select these, it will learn which ones you use more often, and those will end up being the ones that you see shown automatically so that you don't necessarily need to click on this little down arrow to open up all of your other options. There's also a cancel button. That means don't save anything that I've just entered, just pop me back out of this form. Okay, so for every participant, when you go into the evaluation questionnaire, we will ask for a couple of administrative things at the top. And we really do need you to enter these at the very beginning before you start doing data collection, because sometimes there are skip patterns further down the page that are dependent on what you answer here. So the first thing we ask you to do is to confirm the participant ID, just to make sure that you're in the right record. If you find that you're not in the right record, or if you accidentally created a participant ID which is the wrong ID, just send me an email. I'm happy to fix it for you. If you find that you type in your ID and realize, oh, I made a mistake when I was starting this, you can always back out at this point. You can hit cancel and start again with a different ID, right? The other administrative things here are, we ask you to confirm the site that you're collecting from. The staff ID is the number that's assigned to you specifically when your accounts are being made. So you'll have an email from me that has information about what your username is in the tracking system and what staff ID you should use. We try to keep all the information in REDCap de-identified, and that includes your name. So rather than using your name here, we're asking for your staff ID. And then this survey version is quite important. Even though you've already selected baseline and it says baseline, event baseline here on the left, we really would like you to confirm that this is the baseline, because that determines what the skip patterns are downstream from here. And then the form date is just the date that you've collected, that you're collecting this information. So on this form, as with all forms, you basically just read what's there shown. You'll see that information is given in English in black and in Spanish in this brown colored font. So you can toggle back and forth between languages if that's necessary. At the bottom of every form, there is this form status. It automatically defaults to incomplete, which is that red circle that you saw in the dashboard. You can select unverified, which is yellow, or complete, which is green. We recommend that you select unverified if you know that you want to come back and fix something later. But otherwise, if you've completed the form, we recommend that you select complete so that everybody can see that the form is green, that it's done. You don't need to come back and fix anything. A couple of other navigation things about REDCap. For questions where there are these red radio button circles, if you click on a button, sometimes that will open up additional questions, and you just ask them and keep continuing on. If you click on a button and you realize that you want to actually get rid of that response entirely, if you click on it again, you'll find that doesn't do anything. In order to clear that field, you need to click on the reset button here in the right-hand side. So every question that has these radio buttons has this reset button you can use to clear the response. You can also, for fields that have squares, these are check all that apply. For these ones, there's no reset button because you can simply click on that square again to get rid of the check mark. And for text fields, you can just delete what's in there in order to reset it to no value. Okay, so again, the important things to remember here are fill out the administrative fields at the top first before you do anything else. And at the bottom of every form, you want to update the form status and then click on save to save all of your work. When you click on save, it may show you a pop-up that says, hey, you forgot to enter some information that's required. If you click OK, that will pop you back to that form so that you can go back and fix things. Or you can click on ignore and leave record, which means I would like REDCap to save everything I've entered, even though there are some required fields that didn't get completed. And I want to come out of this participant's record. Or you can ignore and go to next form, which means save everything that I've entered so far and show me the next form in order for this time point. A reminder that if you skip these, you probably want to change that form status at the bottom of the page to unverified so that you are reminded to come back when you look at the visual dashboard.